Hey guys. Hi, my name's Steve Gravestock. I'm a senior programmer at the Toronto International Film Festival, and I hope you enjoyed Kicking Blood. And we're here with the co-writer and director, Blaine Thurier, who's had a ton of films at the festival: Low Self-Esteem Girl, Male Fantasy, Gun to the Head, Teen Lust, and it's great to welcome him back with his latest film. And two of the stars from the film, the two leads, Alanna Bale, who plays Anna, and Bilyk, who plays Robbie. Luke, you're coming to us from Winnipeg, Regina.
I was in Winnipeg. I just touched back in Toronto a couple days ago, but I'll be headed back out there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
3 or 4 days.
Great. Good to have you here. So congrats on the film, guys. People should applaud digitally or put their thumbs up or whatever how that works.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd start with I love how the film is sort of steeped in vampire lore, but it also adds elements I've never seen before. Like there's this kind of economy of the undead, about how the vampires exist by sort of, feeding on outcasts, but then stealing their stuff. Do you want to talk about how I think Anna's character refers to their victims or food as sort of hobbled gazelles. It's a great line. But right before the trio sort of lunches on Ben. But anyway, if you could talk a bit about those elements and where they came from, I find it quite original, the whole economy thing, because usually vampires they're just permanently rich, right? So they've been around long enough to accrue stuff. So Blaine, if you want to maybe talk about that a bit.
Well, even parasites have to make a living somehow. Yes, the most of the pack, Boris and Nina, make their living taking stuff from dead people. We don't really play it up so much, but it is hinted at. Anna, however, our heroine, thinks it's undignified. She will take things as a sort of memento, like a bottle of scotch or a Day of the Dead figurine. Right. And she works for a living. She likes books, so why not work at a library?
I find you often. It's interesting that she works at a library. I love those scenes in the film where she's there at night, but there's those sort of scenes where she's walking by the window and kind of looking wistfully out at the sunlight, which I found really sort of almost quite poetically done in a lot of ways, but also, there's a sort of longing there, which I thought was a real kind of it really sort of cut to the heart of the character and her kind of dilemma.
Definitely. And I think also those moments are sort of new for Anna at the time, and throughout the movie, I think she's becoming more emboldened to play with touching light or being close to light, because at this point she can't help it. So yeah, those are pretty special moments.
It's it's about reconnecting with humanity and life, and the sun is the giver of all life. All of the energy that we get to live comes from the sun somehow, and to be disconnected from it is to be, truly dead in a way. So yes, that is the ultimate thing for her to come back into the light from her subterranean existence.
The void, the cold void.
The void. Yes.
I love the characters are a lot of the characters, but the vampires in particular, they struck me as kind of, they were sort of almost hipster vampires, but they also, to me, they could have shown up or hipster or bohemian type vampires. To me, they could have shown up in Low Self-Esteem Girl. In fact, I'm pretty sure they are in Low Self-Esteem Girl.
In a sense, yeah.
Or Male Fantasy, or maybe Gun to the Head. Do you feel a sort of connection between these characters in your earlier work? Does it sort of feel minus the blood sucking, I guess, but or maybe not.
I like to. Well, I hope that there is a sense that all of my characters in all of my movies somehow, because they are all a piece of me, and if there is not a piece of me in all of the characters, there is no personal truth, or very little personal truth in the movie, which is, important for me. That's sort of why I do it. I want people to be entertained and to love my movies and to love and adulate and worship me as well. But I'm joking. but yes, I try to put a little of me in everybody. So yes, there are those elements of those characters in there for sure.
Cool. The one of the it strikes me that sort of one of the reasons why Anne is drawn to humans is that they keep kind of they're actually fighting against their fate, like the Bernice character, obviously, Robbie for sure, and they're pursuing something kind of beyond just surviving, whereas sort of Boris and Nina, the other members of the pack, are just sort of they're just kind of on they're basically working on a survival level. And I think that's what sort of draws her back into dealing with it gets her interested in the human world again, or like, do you guys want to comment on that? Maybe Alanna? Maybe.
Yeah. I think initially what's so interesting about the meeting between Anna and Robbie in the beginning is she sees someone who's down in the dumps and someone that she doesn't have to be human with. And same with Robbie. He can hide in his addiction. She can hide in her addiction. And they can avoid human life altogether. But I think that as the movie progresses, they realize that that's not living at all, and sort of catches her off guard because she's presented with this human who is willing to die. He's ready to die. He's ready to give it all up, and she's usually met with a maelstrom of emotions when she's about to kill someone. It's always guilt and fear, and they're pleading, but she's met with this man who is ready to go. So I think that sort of kickstarts her curiosity or interest into humanity and humans and mortality all over again.
And I think there's a kind of funny comparison almost to what we were talking about before, about you in the library and kind of gently touching the light and kind of slowly immersing yourself back into that. There's a portion of Robbie that is almost is human, and I think that there's some interesting kind of, that's not foreshadowing, but really kind of nice symmetry between those two moments, because it's the truth of Robbie and just how willing he is to just kind of come to grips with what is going to happen, that I think kind of change and alter your perspective.
Totally. Yeah. And the intimacy between a human and a vampire, or a human and human, it's warmth. It's which is something that Anna hasn't experienced in years and years and years and years.
Eons.
Love and light. Yes.
Yeah.
It's also a vampire with 80-year-old scotch too.
Yeah. Just as a souvenir, Yeah. What you said about Steve about each victim is trying to sort of transcend their circumstances. Leonard and I just want to acknowledge that Leonard Farlinger and Jennifer Jonas moved mountains. The resources they found, how hard they stretched themselves, and how much they helped me improve the script. It's just immeasurable. I have to give them so much credit. I just need everybody to know Leonard Farlinger and Jennifer Jonas are amazing. But the victims, they're trying to transcend where they are. And some of them are doing it in a positive way. Some of them are doing it in a selfish, sort of decadent way. I mean, this is Q&A after, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes. The gentleman from the library, Jerry. He's being a salty old dog, and
the senior citizen Lothario. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. and poor Ben, he's just, he's sort of like stuck. He's in this marriage he doesn't seem sure about, so he thinks, yeah, I'm gonna do coke, and I'm gonna bring this like young lady over. So there is sort of like there's a bit of Puritanism in there, and I guess that's my religious upbringing. But then the artist, she is trying to transcend in a more spiritual way, and that's what hits Anna.
Cool. I did want to point out that there was this sort of irony of in terms of the character of Robbie, that he's actually brought back to life by somebody who's dead, which is kind of, it's a comic irony that sort of percolates underneath it. And speaking, one of the other things I really loved about the film was that there's a kind of there's a sort of deadpan, there's a kind of deadpan humor that percolates underneath everything, which really sort of reminded me, there's almost there's an acknowledgement of some of the artifice, which I thought was like really kind of charming and really sort of carried the film. It reminded me a lot of the way Stuart Gordon, his early films like RE-ANIMATOR and From Beyond. And if you just guys want to comment on that, there's a lot of funny stuff in the script. My favorite line is the is the line that I just realized I'd have to drop an F-bomb. The line where Anna says she's gonna feed on Robbie and says, and she'll get high as something. So
get high as the F word, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. But there's this sort of humor that runs through it that I found really like kind of appealing. Do you guys want to talk about how you approach that kind of that sort of that style? How you created that kind of rhythm, that tone?
There was one thing that I think me and Blaine were talking about a lot, is that people who are, depressed or in the dark, they somehow tend to find the humor, the levity in moments, and I think that a lot of humor is brought from people who carry the darkest things within them. So I think that that's something that, there was a lot of dark things. The tones in this project were very dark, but I think that within that gave us the opportunity to play with the moments, like exactly like that line that you're saying. So no, it definitely came up in conversation, and I'm very happy that we played with it.
Blaine, do you want to add anything in terms of that?
We wanted to, it's a pretty heavy topic. Addiction, death, mortality, murder, to get high, so I didn't want to make it ponderous and turgid, I wanted it to have we all wanted it to have a certain charm, in the midst of all of despair. We wanted to like these people, we wanted to cheer for them, and if they are humorless, I wouldn't want to hang out with them for the runtime of a movie. There are some movies, I won't name which, where I watched like the first 5 minutes and I don't like these people. They have no insight, no no sense of humor, no awareness, and that really turns me off. I want people to be drawn to people, and even if they're a vampire, yeah, I'll share a cab. You're going downtown. I want to hang out with you.
Well, it's interesting though, because even though that, one of the things the script pulls out is that there's there are human predators as well, or people who are waiting for people to fail, like Robbie's old girlfriend who keeps coming around and saying, "Oh, come and have a drink with me," when he's trying to get clean, which I thought was a really nice sort of extension or expansion of the theme.
Vanessa. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the character's named Vanessa, and the actor's Vanessa Antoine. Just a fabulous human being and amazing actress. She brought her idea of it. This was one character-wise where we're not gonna like her. We're not gonna be on her side at all. She's just trying. Robbie's tried so hard and he's got through it, and she's trying to pull him back. But her insight was that she just didn't want to be alone. That's I think that's often a motivation for enablers. They need somebody down there with them. Even they don't want to see somebody rise into the love and light, because then now I'm stuck in the hole. It's a crappy way to go about finding companionship, but there is a motivation, a very human motivation to do so.
Mm-hmm. I do think it really does sort of there have been other examples of the genre where they deal with where they present the whole vampire thing as an addiction, but I think this really draws it out in a more I think thoughtful and like comprehensive way, because it really does sort of because it really is about what motivates you to leave that kind of lifestyle behind, or addiction behind. It's really about the psychological movement away from it. Was that what sort of drew you to this genre, to deal with the addiction element, or was it the genre in general, or how did that theme come up?
Well, it just sort of started as a vampire wants to quit blood and become human again, and then goes through a horrible withdrawal, and after seeing somebody go through the same withdrawal and regain their humanity, i.e. Robbie, and I wrote a really quick draft, sent it to Leonard and Jennifer, and they said that's it, that's the movie. It's about addiction, and it became more about that. It became more about reconnecting with humanity and coming into the love and the light. But definitely, addiction was a strong theme, and we had stripped away. We explored a lot of vampire tropes like mirrors and coffins and garlic and crucifixes, and this certain things were more just compelled us a lot more about vampires, and addiction was.
Were there any? I'm afraid we're gonna wrap up, but I did want to ask: was there anything that? Were there any vampire movies you guys looked to when you were working on the film, or any?
Yeah. There was. We didn't quite find one that, sort of matched what we wanted to do, but the Werner Herzog vampire movie was probably my favorite. Or nothing like that, but I loved it. The Dreyer's what is it, Vampire?
Yeah,
it's just a surreal nightmare. It's just so beautiful and frightening, silent film. Those ones I really, really dug, but we did watch a lot.
What did you guys? Were you guys drawn to anything for your roles, or maybe?
This might be a hot take, maybe a polarizing question, but I don't search for external influence when I'm focused on a project. So I sort of I got information talking to Blaine and Leonard early on, and their inspiration and images I find really help. But in terms of actual like consuming films or TV shows, I don't do it. I cut myself off.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, I think there was.
Yeah, I think that's sorry. Go ahead, Liz.
No. I think there was just a lot of, my world dealt less with the vampires and more with self problems. So I think there was definitely a lot of books to read. I feel like I'm very similar in the sense I love to watch things, and I love to portionally steal ideas from people. But I find that the heart of every character comes from the building of the research itself. So if you can, which I think was the thing that attracted me most to this, is that it was really a human problem, kind of what we're saying. So when you have the research and the ability to go online and search up things countlessly, so it makes it a lot easier.
I want to add that Luke, we were chatting, video chat, and it just sort of came up. I didn't ask him, but he just started like expounding on what happens in alcohol withdrawal, and found like he just like it totally educated me and put me to shame in the amount of research he had done into the process of withdrawal, and you know, found that, you know, Robbie goes into the coma and right after like the worst hallucination, and that's what happens. And like he really knew his stuff. Really knew his stuff.
Wow.
He could go work in a rehab center.
Brilliant script. I had to come correct.
Leonard and I, yes, thank you.
Yes.
All right. I'm afraid we got to wrap it up, but thank you guys so much. Thanks for the film. And we'll see you all soon in person, I hope. So
yes.